Welcome to the Rusted Garden Homestead. I'm going to clean up this space and we are going to drop a cold frame. This is a kit that I purchased. Polycarbonate is what I recommend. They're a little more expensive, but they will last a good 7 to 10 years. Polycarbonate is great, lightweight, very, very effective for insulating your planting area inside the cold frame from the winter. So we are moving into November. This is going to be set up for winter sowing, so I can get all my plants started in there, the cool weather plants, come January. I'll be able to use this space. All right, let's clear this out. So my shadow's in here intentionally because the slope of the cold frame is going to go this way and the sun tracks this way. So I'm trying to maximize the amount of sun going into the sloped top, which is going to be the clear polycarbonate. Actually, this cold frame is clear on the sides and the top. In theory, I could put it this way and it would get a little bit more sun into the sloped area, but this is plenty. And the whole point is that you want to place it in a place where the sun is going to the sun is going to track across it and deliver a good amount of sun, a good 8 hours of sun into the cold frame. And again, I'm going to be starting seeds in here for different points of the winter and early spring. So I'm not going to drop it along the hill. I'm actually going to drop it in the back a little bit, and it will be out of the way, and I will be able to use it all spring and also plant in the front here. I built this cold frame last year, and this one is actually facing south, so it's getting the full sun through the polycarbonate. I will link the build video and the planting video. Again, I'm building this cold frame today for winter sowing, and if you want to subscribe, I will show you how I use the cold frame we're going to build today for sowing your cool weather crops. But the polycarbonate just sits on here. It's weighted down on the end so the wind doesn't blow it away. And this is what I have growing in there now. Spinach, bib lettuce, that's some broccoli just for the leaves. And this will give me a supply of greens through the winter. If I wanted to, I could just drop in seed trays come later January, and I could start all my cool weather crops right in here and not have to use indoor lighting or do anything indoors, because this frame will keep it warm enough that the plants will germinate and be ready to go into the garden. So that's the cold frame. It's going to go right into this space. I'll be able to walk in here if I need to from the sides. So I just wanted to cut in. This is the final placement, and I'll talk about all the stuff you see here in a few minutes. Cold frame is like a mini greenhouse. It's low to the ground. That's one of the benefits of the cold frame. So it uses the warmth of the earth to kind of regulate the temperature in there, and it uses the solar energy to really warm it up in there. This is a great way to have an alternative to starting seeds. So you don't need to start indoors with grow lights and everything. You can use these cold frames. This video is more about the cool weather crops, but you could also start your warm weather crops, your tomatoes, your peppers, all those crops in here too. You would just do that later in the season. And with your warm weather crops, you want to make sure that you're opening and closing it more, because if it gets up to 60 degrees during the day, you have this closed, the heat's going to come in and it's going to really bake the plants. When you're doing cool weather crops, you're really out in January, February when it gets cold. The earth is cold, so even if you forget and you leave it shut, there's not that much damage done. But you do have to kind of watch how hot it's getting during the day, how sunny it is during the day, and kind of regulate the openings and make sure that you've got circulation going on in there. The other benefit to this is, one, again, you don't have to buy the lights, you don't have to do this inside, is you don't have to acclimate your plants to the outdoors. Because they're outside already, they're getting used to the cold, the UV rays of the sun, so they are ready to really be put into the ground right away as they mature inside the cold frame. When you're growing inside, they don't get any of the UV radiation from the sun, and they're not used to it. So you have to kind of acclimate them, which means you slowly transition them outdoors over a 7-day period, let them get used to the outdoor elements. This is a great way to start seeds if you want to do an alternative, or in addition to starting seeds indoors. But it's going to be out of the way. And winter sowing is really just starting seeds outdoors in the winter. A lot of people use milk jugs or different kinds of containers. We're going to use the whole raised bed. And the reason that I'm putting it in now in October is come January, it's freezing here. It's in the 20s. So I don't feel like building anything in the freezing cold. And by putting the frame down now, it will continue to kind of hold heat in this space, keep it a little bit warmer. The ground may still freeze, but I want this to stay warm, so when I bring in my cool weather crops, they will have a great space to start germinating and getting ready for early spring planting. And I'm keeping the mound open in the front, so some of these transplants will be able to go right in front here. So I've not used this cold frame before. I'm not affiliated with them, and it's not going to really be a build video. I'll test it out. If it's good, you know, maybe I will recommend it. But any product that you buy, what I like to do is just break all the pieces into like components, lay it out, you know, build near the space that you're going to go to and where you're going to place it. They also say this can be taken down in 5 minutes, which I guess that makes sense. But it looks like the build's going to take about 20 or 30 minutes, which isn't really that bad. But again, it's polycarbonate. It will fit right in that space, and it's perfect for starting seeds, your cool weather crops, outdoors actually. So let me put this together, and we'll talk more about the whole process of starting cool weather crops outdoors when the weather is freezing. So here's the finished cold frame for starting seeds outdoors. And a couple of things. When you start your cool weather crops like lettuces, kale, cauliflower, broccoli, indoors under grow lights, they do germinate. But usually your home is about 70 degrees. And even when you have your lights really close to those seed starts, they tend to get leggy and lanky and fall over. And that's not because they're not getting enough light. It's because it's so warm. Your cool weather crops, when it's that warm, take off and they just race to grow. So even your indoor seed starts, cool weather crops with the right amount of light can kind of get tall and leggy. If you start them outdoors or even in a garage where it's cold, that cold weather is what they prefer. That's what they want to germinate in. And that's part of the reason I'm going to be starting all my cool weather crops outside later January, February in this cold frame. And again, I built it now because I want to build it while it's warm and let some of the heat collect and stay in there, see what it does. If you want to subscribe to my channel, all my stuff is in a real-time series, so I'll show you how to set this all up in later January and February with your cool weather seed starts. So this is what it's going to look like. It's large enough to hold 5 flats in there. And I can start them in larger containers. I can start them in the smaller seed starting cells, but that's going to be plenty of room for everything that I want cool weather wise, mostly my leafy greens, spinach, kales, broccoli, cabbage, even kohlrabi. So this is going to be really nice. I'm not going to really have to mind it much. This actually comes with an automatic opener right over there. There's some sort of gas in that black cylinder, and when it heats up, it expands. However, this took a good 45 minutes to put together. It wasn't really intuitive. It's a great product. I love the design and everything on here. But, you know, spend a little money on the directions, so it's easy for us. So once you assemble it, you know, you'll be able to do a second one much more quickly. But I do have to go online and figure out how to hook that up because it's just not intuitive. Anyway, this is a great way to start cool weather crops. Come January, February in your area, even March. I mean, you don't have to start that early. You'll be able to just set everything up inside, get your starting mix set up, get your seeds set up, and then you bring them out here, tuck them in here, and you can go ahead and shut them in and let them grow. They'll do their thing. So this is what it looks like set up, out of the way, you know, towards my fence. It'll get plenty of sun. Just set it up level. Wherever there's some gaps, like on the left side there, just move the mulch in, you know, seal it up. This way the heat stays in. This is a perfect way to start your cool weather vegetables in winter. You can even start them indoors, and once they break the surface, as soon as they break the surface, bring them outside. Let them get the cool weather. They're not going to get leggy like I was talking about. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com, and cold frames are a great way to not only extend your season, but to start your season off by getting your seed starts ready for spring.